I will say this. I'm not going to wish that my daughter kicks a bunch of men in the groin. But I tell you one thing, if they mess with her, I know that will be one of her go-to moves.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Wrealm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. We are in the holiday season, and Raw is being very naughty, I must say. They look like they want to receive coal instead of gifts under their tree, while SmackDown is on fire as we get headed into TLC. Now, let's get started with our top rope.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
All right, top rope this week, Daniel Bryan and The Miz on MizTV. So, did you ever think you would see this? One of the things I really enjoyed about this was you didn't see an alliance being formed, but you kind of saw Miz, and you also didn't see a face turn by The Miz, but you saw him, basically saying, look, I've been trying to tell you this all along. I've been trying to tell you stop listening to the people. Then you saw Daniel Bryan go with his yes, no, yes. And then he got to talk about the people saying the what. And then he reminded them that y'all been chanting something that's almost 20 years old. And you're just puppets. And I thought that was really good. I really enjoyed this segment. It was one of the best things that happened on the WWE television this week. So it was just, and then this would lead to AJ Styles coming out there, as the real Dwayne Allen says, looking like X-Pac. I didn't even, I ain't gonna say I didn't think about it, but first thing I thought was like, man, he looked like a highlighter. But obviously that's what X-Pac used to look like. So watching him come out there, and I'm like, dude, like, okay, this is gonna be good. Now, we saw the melee, as we always see in those situations, but we saw kind of Daniel Bryan and Miz not working directly together, but when AJ Styles had a Miz upper hand on the Miz, Daniel Bryan would get involved. And then in the main event, we got AJ Styles versus AJ Styles versus the Miz. And after the match was over, Daniel Bryan would continue to beat up the Miz. But the commentary, he was phenomenal. Daniel Bryan, that is, on commentary. Let's face it, a lot of people said, okay, he was boring. We was going to get the same redemption story had he became WWE champion. In the way that I would admit, if you gave me the book, that's what I would have done. I would have had him win the Royal Rumble finally, and then go ahead in WrestleMania and win the title from AJ Styles or The Miz. Instead, they gave us something different. We're getting a heel Daniel Bryan. Again, I've said this before. It's better to be the number one heel than the number two babyface. I will say this. This past week, I was listening to something to wrestle with, and there was Bruce Pritchard. The topic this week was Christian. And I was okay. I was a Christian fan. Obviously, Edge and Christian are perhaps my second favorite tag team of all time to the I'm looking right at this Heart Foundation. And I was like, man, they go in depth of Christian's career, and I wish Bruce Pritchard was around when they decided to put the title on, because that's what I want to know. I want to know the behind the scenes booking as far as putting the title on Christian, and why they decided that he was pretty much not the guy to be the number one heel. Why they wouldn't let Christian and Del Rio carry SmackDown at that time, or even why was it, why didn't they have Randy Orton chase him instead of him chasing Orton? So that's just, a sidebar or a conversation. And feel free to chat with me about that. What are your thoughts? I do remember the internet being upset, because we are well into the internet age of wrestling in 2011, and I remember the internet being very upset when this match happen. But nonetheless, back to Daniel Bryan and Miz and AJ Styles. So, like I said, the Miz was right all along. If Daniel Bryan obviously didn't want to admit that, but he was. And I just thought that was interesting, especially the dynamic that the two had when you go back to NXT and the Miz was Daniel Bryan's pro. Sticking with SmackDown, we saw the man herself, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Asuka pretty much open up the show for what was supposed to be a contract signing. But we saw Charlotte pretty much tell tell Becky Lynch, you got knocked out with one punch, and I was able to take out Ronda Rousey. But then Asuka got involved. And this is what I like, because in these situations, you always have two people, and it's always, can that third person keep up? And Asuka showed that she could keep up, especially when she told Charlotte, like, she already beat you. She never beat me. Asuka's definitely, let's be real. I don't mind. Some people say she's a lot to be left desired on the microphone. I don't mind it. Obviously, she's not as fluent in English. At least it comes off the way her character is booked. Nonetheless, she says what she has to say. It's very simple. And I would love to see her win this match. I would love to see Nia Jax beat Ronda Rousey. But before we get to that, like I said, it was Asuka and Charlotte. They would team up to go against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville after Mandy Rose came out there and said a couple of things. And during that match, you saw the seed being planted. You knew it was coming. Let's be real. We knew it was coming. We've been watching wrestling long enough. We knew that Mandy Rose would eventually, we knew that Charlotte and Asuka would eventually go at odds. And that's exactly what happened. And because of that, Charlotte and Asuka would be cost the match. Sonya Deville would get the pin on Charlotte. So next week we get Charlotte versus Asuka, the rematch from WrestleMania. One of the matches I say is the match of the year, and I will argue anybody that it was a top 5 WrestleMania match of all time. And before you say anything, I've seen them all at least twice. So yes, because I'll even let you know, 2015, I thought WrestleMania 31 was going to be so bad that because I have the WWE Network, I decided to watch every WrestleMania 1 through 30 in its entirety consecutively. Now, I'm not doing that ever again. I did in 2011, I did a review on YouTube, old YouTube channel, when I had the show Wrestle Talk with Baron B-Dub. I reviewed all the WrestleManias, but that was 1 through 26, and some of them I grouped together. Now, would I do a review show on all of them again? Maybe, with the right co-host, the real Dwayne Allen. But nah, that's still exhausting to even think about doing 34 WrestleManias. But nonetheless, I like I said, I will challenge anybody that Asuka and Charlotte is a top 5 WrestleMania match of all time. So let's move on to Monday Night Raw. We're going to stick with the 4 horsemen of the WWE, that being Bayley and Sasha. So we saw Alexa Bliss doing her open forum again, and we all knew they were plants in the crowd. If you look on Black Wrestling Alliance Instagram page, you will find out exactly who they were. But we saw Bayley and Sasha discuss, we saw them discuss things, and one of the he's answering questions, but one of the things that was interesting is the seeds being planted for the tag team division, the women's tag titles. I'm wondering, so I see the tag teams I see are Sasha and Bailey, Mandy and Sonya, Nia and Tamina, even though Nia could win the title. I don't think she will. And then obviously the Riot Squad and the Iconics. There's probably others, but right now those are the tag teams I see. So, and some may argue you don't do much with your men's tag team, which I would disagree. What are you going to do with the women? Only time will tell. But I do see that is where we're going. Sasha and Bailey, they're starting to dress up. Well, they've been dressing alike for a while. I don't see them splitting up. I think the split up comes way down the line, and it'll be a bigger story than what it'll be now. And this is one of those things where we as wrestling fans have to be patient. So, but nonetheless, let's stick it with the women. We saw Ronda Rousey and Natalya get attacked in the beginning of Raw by Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax, which would lead to, and then actually the Riot Squad also came out there. They threw Natalya through a table, which would lead to Natalya not being able to compete in the Promise 2-on-2 match with her and Rousey going against Nia and Tamina. Main event, it was Ronda Rousey got a partner who was Ember Moon. They beat Nia Jax and Tamina. So that's interesting. The women are trying to hold Raw. Raw still is not great. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'll talk more about that after this message.
This is Chet from You From the Top Rope. I know you're enjoying yourself. Clearly listen to Break It Down with Brian H. Brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm. Make sure you keep tuned in, keep listening. I'm going to send it back to Brian.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. That is my boy Chad from View from the Top Rope. Congratulations to him. Just listen to their episode from last week. I got to catch up. But I just listened to them, and he made the announcement that he is engaged. So congratulations to him. Love is a beautiful thing. So, moving on. You know what? Let's get into the Tapped Out.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
So, my Tapped Out this week. Heath Slater and Rhino, man. Why? So, Heath Slater and Rhino had a match. Baron Corbin decided, I guess this is how you send Rhino off. This is how you retire. Loser gets fired. And, of course, Heath Slater is like, man, I got kids. You know, if you told them to make a choice, who gets fired, then they had to have a match. Just didn't like it at all. It seemed like a bunch of filler. Raw seems like it's all over the place. I've said this time and time again. I just don't get it. But, yeah, that's definitely this week's Tapped Out. Sticking with Monday Night Raw. Does anybody care about Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins? The more I watch this, I see Ambrose coming out there with some SWAT team members, and I realized I like this feud better when Seth Rollins was the heel. I feel that he pulled it off better. Rollins is doing things, but I just feel like it was better the other way around. Let me know what you think. I'm not even going to spend too much time talking about that because I'm going to talk about something positive, that being the SmackDown Live tag team division. SmackDown Live, we saw we saw Jey Uso. Yeah, it was Jey Uso, Cesaro, and Kofi. I mean, not Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. The beautiful thing about that match was we saw Xavier Woods jump on Cesaro's back, and Cesaro kept him up there and then did the King of Swing on Jey Uso. Check it out. It was incredible. It just goes to show you the strength of him. One thing is for certain, you're always going to be entertained with a Cesaro match. After he finished the swing, he would then go ahead and put Xavier Woods in the sharpshooter. And almost held it, but Jey Uso would get in there and eventually pick up the win. So they're getting set for a TLC match, TLC triple threat match for the tag team championships. I hope it's a TLC match. I'm not sure if it is. It definitely should be. And I would love to see if they could possibly pull off some of the cool stuff that the greatest triangle ladder match group, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys, were able to pull off. Let's move on back to Monday Night Raw, because we saw a split this week, and that is Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. So Monday was Drew McIntyre Appreciation Night, and he was out there and he received some medal from interim GM Constable Baron Corbin. And when that happened, Dolph Ziggler eventually came out and said, I guess I wasn't invited to the party. And Drew McIntyre would continue to I don't want to use the word demasculate, because that's a strong word, but he kind of ripped him apart and basically said, look, basically told him he used him, and, he made him more relevant than he's ever been. What I didn't like, and this almost made the Tapped Out, what I did not like was the fact that they decided to give us this match on Monday Night Raw. I understand McIntyre will probably I think he's facing Finn Balor. Fine. They didn't have to give us this match just yet. I don't know. Maybe they could have did an injury angle. I know they did that with Shawn Michaels and Sid, but how many of the fans really remember? So I was just disappointed in that. It was just unnecessary to me. So, and with that being said, I know we had a lot of wrestling, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up this week. Make sure you are subscribed to the Wrestling Wrealm podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to the Wrestling Wrealm talk show right on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Follow the brand everywhere, each and everywhere. Wherever you get your podcasts from, we're there. Make sure you break it down with Brian H. 5 stars, please. And, I just want to appreciate everybody who's been listening to the show each and every week. This is episode 46. And it's just like, wow, 46 episodes. And that's not necessarily including the pay-per-view specials. Because if you do that, then we've been over the 50 mark. So I really appreciate it, folks. Until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.